rAVe Radio. With rants and raves, you'll be okay. And today is your lucky day. It is rants and raves with Gary K.
Hey everyone, this is Gary K. And now that we're clear of InfoComm, we get to talk about other things. And I don't know, about a month and a half ago, Crestron made an acquisition of 1Beyond. I always knew 1Beyond as this camera company that makes AI cameras and lots of other kind of camera gear. And I'm joined with the Executive Vice President of Marketing from Crestron, Brad Hintze. Brad, how are you?
Great, Gary. Thanks for having me on.
Well, you would definitely know what's going on. Tell me, I mean, obviously Crestron was a big player for a while, has been a big player in the UCC market. I'm guessing this sort of plays right into that strategy.
Yeah, this has been a really rapidly growing category for us. With the return to work and the proliferation of hybrid work, it's been clear we needed to add to our domain expertise, intelligent video, because it's such a crucial element to enabling really productive meetings. And 1Beyond has really built some incredible technology and cameras. And so bringing that technology into our ecosystem, we think is really important as we continue to help our customers solve some of these hybrid work challenges.
So do you, like, if you look at like the UCC packages that you've sold, you know, with the Teams rooms and Zoom rooms and Mercury and all this stuff, you've historically been fairly well aligned with Huddly. How does this affect the Huddly relationship and going forward, or do you see the 1Beyond a different category, or where does that go?
Yeah, so Huddly and then also Jabra is a fairly recent one for us as well. And we view this technology as entirely complementary because the 1Beyond technology has really been geared towards those high-end spaces, those multifunction spaces. Huddly and Jabra are really great in some of those smaller spaces and moving into the medium one. So we think that you need a selection of intelligent video cameras in order to enable any enterprise, and this just adds to that portfolio.
And I mean, obviously UC is one segment, but we don't typically look at the university segment, for example, or even K through 12 as a UC segment, although they all of a sudden became a UC segment during COVID. Yep. But coming out of COVID, they're going to kind of go back to normal at some point in time for the most part. But there's going to be a need for more cameras, not just for remote classrooms, but also for, a plethora of other reasons. I mean, especially if you're in a large auditorium environment. Do you see this? Do you see new packages coming out that target these different segments, or can you give us a hint as to where we might see this go beyond UC?
Yeah, sure. I think that, the whole world was shocked into a new way of working. Yeah. We've all become accustomed to it, and that will have implications in all facets of our life. So certainly, there's 1Beyond has already gotten a lot of traction in the educational space. Yeah. But also within the enterprise too, in terms of, company town halls or investor town halls or those other ways of collaborating and presenting information. Cameras need to be in there. And while we know every room needs a camera and a microphone and a speaker so that you can connect, the way you package that is very different. And so you need different kinds of approaches. And I think you'll see more and more of that, whether it's distributing the camera signal across the network, placing multi-cameras with intelligence to follow the presenter or frame the speaker, maybe in a crowd of people. There are a lot of ways that we can really leverage this technology, but we viewed that it was strategically vital to bring that into the organization rather than simply partner to solve some of those challenges.
Do you I mean, obviously, Crestron's a control company and a video processing company. Is now Crestron, do you view this as now we're a camera company, or how do you view this in the ecosystem of Crestron?
Yeah, sure. We're a control company. We're an audio video company, and we distribute that content around the organization, whether that be enterprise or government or education. And now video is just another source of, cameras are another source of that content rather than just recorded video. and recorded audio. Now it's live, real time camera, and then of course the audio associated with that camera too. And that's why we felt like it had to be a core competence within our ecosystem.
I mean, my guess would be, obviously, if you're smart, and I'm sure there's smarter people than me over there, that you'd put like NVX outputs on cameras and built it into the NVX ecosystem for AV over IP and vice versa. Am I thinking the right track?
Sure, absolutely, right. I think that that's a very natural conclusion.
Yeah.
Of where we might take this. We're already combining those things today to be able to distribute the camera signal and even calls, Teams calls or Zoom calls, distributing that around a room. It's just another natural extension to have native camera integration with NVX as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's kind of where I thought it was going. You've got an interesting background, having come from the consumer, high end, I should say, very high end consumer world with Control 4 and Snap AV, which is now Snap One, that basically was I'm going to say a combination of a distributor and manufacturer. They purchased Control 4. I'm wondering, with your expertise, where we might see this. I know Crestron has that at-home version of the UC platform products, the Mercury products at home. I wonder if we might see, more applications for high-end, homes and control. And, I have Nest cameras all over my house, but I always thought I'd love to have something even better.
Yep.
You think we might see some stuff there?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, before I joined Crestron, there was already movement into enabling this within home, right? At the end of the day, the technologies within resi and within commercial, they're very similar kinds of technologies. Exactly. They're just applied in a little bit different way. And so Crestron is uniquely positioned to enable hybrid work, both when you're working at home, when you're relaxing at home, and you're living at home, to when you go into the office. And today we have that with a variety of products. The Mercury Mini, which is deeply integrated with Crestron Home. You have the Teams Phone, which is a really great companion device to put on your desk at home. So you have a dedicated Teams device within your own residence. And, we're doing things like Air Media Wireless in a lot of homes, NVX for audio and video distribution around residential spaces. So I think you'll see more and more of that as we continue to go deeper into this mode of, enabling our homes to help us be productive at work. And then you go into the office to collaborate and meet with your colleagues. But making that seamless between those locations is really, I think, a great opportunity for Crestron.
How much conflict is there in the distribution or the integrator channel with Crestron and Beyond, 1Beyond? Is it just seamlessly integrated into Crestron, or are you having to cut off any distributors out there that don't work within your distribution structure, or is it not a big issue?
There was actually many of the dealers that were already working with 1Beyond are already some of our biggest dealers as well. Okay. So that was one of the reasons that we had a lot of confidence in this move. Many of the 1Beyond deployments were already controlled by Crestron too. And so there was already a lot of success in the market. And now we can just help expand that even further.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see where it goes. Obviously, I shouldn't say I'm surprised, because obviously Crestron, you own a relationship on so many other levels. Kind of whatever you drop into that product into those categories would be probably successful, logically. So I'm not surprised. I think it's an interesting move, and I think it definitely. Although a lot of people were surprised by it, I think less so. They should have probably been more woken up by the fact that they're, that you can have one company that's providing you all different kinds of products and services rather than going to multiple companies. Right. So who are you going to buy next?
Well, I would say that part of the reason I think a lot of people were surprised is that, Crestron doesn't have a legacy of acquiring technology. Yeah. It's been developing that technology. Yeah. And we had a lot of discussion internally. Should we just go build it, or should we go and buy it? And we decided that 1Beyond was the right kind of technology to bring in. It was the right time to do that. But that doesn't mean that that will be the right situation going forward.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. That was this one in this moment. And the distinguishing factor for us is we don't go and buy technology to add to our revenue or to just add an individual product. And the products that they have today are really great. But what we're doing it for is the future, right? Bringing in those engineering capabilities so that we can build the next generation of those products and bring those capabilities into the products that we're already shipping today. And that's why the 1Beyond technology was a really good fit for this move.
Yeah, sort of expanding the ecosystem.
Yeah.
Well, I got you. I don't know if you're able to talk about this. I'm just curious, just as a little add-on. We're talking to Brad Hintze, who's the Executive Vice President of Marketing at Crestron. At ISE, it looked like Ames Alliance had a lot of traction, especially with a few announcements. Sony and then Barco adopted IPMX. I'm curious because NVX is sort of like the largest AV-over-IP platform. Do you have any thoughts on IPMX and maybe integrating IPMX into NVX, sort of like y'all did with Dante and your other products?
There is a place for technologies like that to help expand ecosystem and enable our customers to choose the very best products that they can bring into their AV infrastructure. I'm not close enough to speak to the specifics of IPMX, but you mentioned that NVX is the leading transport layer for so many installations, and we're going to continue to invest in that. We've done that on our own front, right? We've approached it as a platform where we continually release new features and capabilities, even on hardware that has been deployed. And so we think that, we have to think broadly around the whole AV-over-IP ecosystem. And so we do spend a lot of time discussing how do we fit in with other technologies like Dante, like IPMX. And I think you'll see some more of that, some more come from us over the next 6 months to 12 months. Moves around those kinds of topics.
Well, you said a lot without saying anything.
I know.
But I think you're playing it safe, which is probably smart in your position. But anyway, I'm just curious about that, obviously, because I see that as a sea change, right? I mean, I see AV-over-IP is basically the biggest thing in our market since the LCD projector came out years ago. So anyway, thanks, Brad. I really appreciate your honesty and forthrightness, and also congratulations on the acquisition. And I look forward to seeing what comes out of it in the future.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. We're really excited about it. The reception has been fantastic, so only good things to come.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of obvious which direction you'll probably go. So thank you very much for your time, and of course, you've been watching our Rants and Raves videocast or podcast and videocast. Thanks for joining us. You can see all of these at ravepubs.com.
Rave Radio with